Hi, I'm Imogen. Thanks for clicking on this video. If you're new, then welcome to my channel. I make plant related videos every Friday, and if you've been here before, then welcome back. If you celebrate it, I hope you had a nice Christmas and New Year period. And today I'm going to be talking about the plants which are on my wish list to buy in 2021. Some of these plants are more rare, but some are more common. And I hope that I'll be able to look back at this video at the end of the year and see how many I got, if I got any. So with that being said, let's get on to the top 10. So at the top of my wish list is either the Alocasia Dragon Scale or the Alocasia Silver Dragon. The main difference in these is the colour of the leaf, but because I more want it for the kind of leaf shape, I don't really mind either. I love the kind of puffiness of the leaves and the contrasting colour of the main part of the leaf and the veins. And I just think they're a really gorgeous plant. I have got the Alocasia Red Secret or Alocasia Cuprea, which has a similar shape, but obviously that's red. Whereas these have either a silvery colour in the case of the Silver Dragon, or a more metallic green colour in the case of the Dragon Scale. Next on my list is another type of Alocasia, specifically the Alocasia Frydek. In contrast to the dragons, this is a velvet Alocasia with sort of soft, suedy leaves and more pronounced lobes than the dragons. I love my Alocasia Black Velvet and my Anthurium clarinervium for their velvety leaves, and I think I'd really like a Frydek for the same reasons. I also think the Frydek looks different enough from those two to kind of validate me getting it, because it's green compared to the dark black of the Black Velvet and has different veining to the clarinervium. Next, I have a couple of Hoyas on this list. Firstly, the Hoya Curtisii. Now, I've not seen this in person and I don't really know where I came across it. Possibly Corky's Flora here on YouTube, as she has lots of Hoya, but I just think this Hoya looks so unique. It's a trailing plant, like most Hoya are, but it has these lovely spade-shaped leaves with gorgeous green and silver dappling on, and it kind of reminds me of sort of satin pothos varieties in that regard, but obviously the leaf shape and growth pattern is vastly different. At the moment I only have my Hoya Carnosa Tricolour Crimson Queen, which is sort of there behind me, and a Crimson Princess cutting that's propagating, but I really like this Hoya and want to add it to my collection. Number 4 on my wish list is the Variegated Bear Paw Succulent. So I managed to find a regular non-variegated version of this really luckily in Morrison's in October, and I really like that one, especially as it was only £3, so a real bargain find. But I just think the variegated one is even cuter, and I'd love to have both and have them side by side. So these plants have lovely, soft, succulent, rounded leaves with little spikes on top, like the claws of a bear, and I love how they kind of grow in a little mound. I also really like on the variegated version how sort of pale and soft the green and cream look together, whereas my regular bear paw is kind of your standard leafy green, I guess. Next is another Hoya, the Hindu Rope or Hoya Carnosa Compacta. I think that ideally I'd like the variegated version of this, but I know that those are even slower growers than the non-variegated version, and as I think this plant looks best when it's kind of bushy with lots of leaves, I'm kind of happy to compromise on the non-variegated version to achieve that look faster. So I think this plant isn't a true variety of Hoya, but more a mutation of the regular Hoya Carnosa. And I love how, like the regular Hoya Carnosa, it's a trailing plant, but because of the way that the leaves form and are packed so closely together and sort of curled round each other, that the trails are sort of really chunky and thick, especially compared to a normal trailing Hoya, which is sort of one vine with sporadic leaves on it. And obviously, like all Hoyas, it has really beautiful flowers if I was lucky enough to get one that bloomed. 6th on this list is a plant that I have actually seen available but just haven't got around to buying yet, so it might be one that I do get in 2021. So this is a Stephania Erecta, which is a caudex plant, which means that you see the bulb above the soil and the plant grows out of that bulb. So you buy this plant as a bulb and sort of give it lots of humidity and hope that it blooms, but the bulbs themselves basically look like a little wrinkly potato rather than an actual plant bulb. But when these grow leaves, they almost look a bit kind of alien-like, with these beautiful sort of round circular leaves kind of erupting from that bulb. So I haven't got one of these before because they go dormant in winter, so I thought it wasn't really worth getting one in November for it not to do anything for months. But maybe I'll try my luck in the spring and hope that I do get one of those gorgeous alien-y plants. Next up is the Peperomia Peppermill. Now, I've spoken plenty on this channel about my love for peperomias, so I won't go on about this one too long, but this is a kind of metallic looking variety. It has kind of bronze and bright green leaves, which make it look really different to other peperomias in my collection and other peperomias I've seen more generally. So I don't know, it's just kind of different looking and quite fun, and yeah, I just quite like it. 8th is the Callisia Rosato. So I already have a Callisia repens, but as the name would suggest, the Callisia Rosato has a lovely sort of soft rosy pink hue to the leaves, which I think is really beautiful. I expect that if this is anything like the repens, that this will be quite fast growing and turn into quite a bushy plant. And I love the kind of pastel colours of the leaves. I also think that this plant is another one that's quite readily available, so hopefully one I will be able to get before the year is out. So next is a plant that I haven't really heard people talking about, but I think is so gorgeous, which is the Impatiens Morsei Velvetea, I think. So this has lovely dark green velvety leaves with a bright pink stripe down the middle and also pink stems. So I think the whole Impatiens genus is grown more as a flowering plant. So this one does have really pretty flowers as well, but I just think those leaves are incredible and I'm a sucker for a pink plant. So finally on this list is one that you've probably seen before, and that is the Philodendron Micans. So this is yet another velvety leaf plant, and I'm really enjoying those kind of texture of plants at the moment, so why not add another one to my wish list. So this is a trailing philodendron with dark green leaves that have an almost reddish orangey hue when they're new and unfurling. So when this plant has lots of vines, I think it's really nice to see that kind of variation in colour. This plant is probably the most common on this list, so I can't quite believe that I don't own it yet. But it's one that I'd quite like to grow from a cutting and propagate it into a bigger plant. So I'll be keeping an eye out on my plant swap group and other places for a good cutting of the Philodendron Micans. And that's the top 10 plants currently on my wish list. I hope you enjoyed this video. I really like watching these type of videos from other people to get inspiration for my own wish list. So I'd love to know what plants you want to get this year, if you want to let me know in the comments. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!